You know, we're going to talk about one actor who damn nearly ruined this movie. I'm not going to spoil it yet, but I was like, God, someone hold the ham on his ham and cheese.
Stop. Catherine Isabel? Just kidding.
Oh, there's somebody. We'll get to it.
Arturo Castro? How dare you?
And it's not Arturo Castro, aka Aquafina.
Oh,
It's not the
okay.
male Aquafina. Come on, this is that what he is? My line.
The Guatemalan Aquafina. Okay. Three, two, one, no boogers. My lips are super glossy. Okay.
Hey, you want to watch some TV or something?
Skip it. Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Nothing but foul language and toilet humor.
I'm disgusted and repulsed and I can't look away.
I need these things! I need these things! Tell me, do you want to go? We're stopping on the top of the line. Oh, no way, Jose. This just in, go to hell!
This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Hello, friends and listeners. You have another new episode of Watch Skip Plus. We are a movie review podcast with a lifestyle twist. And so that twist means that after we review a new streaming or theatrical film, we haven't done a little streamer in a while, we give you a bonus review, and that bonus review can be on anything. It is October spooky season, and so expect horror from from WillDaBeast. I don't know what I'm going to do. It might be horror this time, but anyway, follow, like, subscribe, leave comments, keep this going, guys. We want to build this community, and we want to engage with you guys. What do you think about some of our thoughts or our reviews? I know somebody was like, after hearing Together, said that we should become couple therapists. I don't know. I think that would be great. And since I'll be releasing Bone Lake soon, we may get the same comment, actually.
Sex therapist.
Exactly. Hashtag butt love. So how you doing? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing great. It's been a fun week. We got a really bad rainstorm last night and some flooding in Utah the last couple days, but
Yeah, some weird. There was snow in patches of the country also this past
same
week,
here.
which I know it's October, folks, but it's fall. It's not even winter yet. So as you had telegraphed on our last episode, I forced you to see our movie this week. And actually, if you just move your head just a little,
There it is.
there you go. And as if this limited edition Hurley shirt, which has unfortunately been through the ringer, and it's also incredibly tight. Scooter called me beautiful sausage when he saw me in it.
Love it.
Fucking. We are reviewing Tron Ares, or I always say Ares because there's no I in the Ares. I don't know.
Well, they're definitely pronouncing it Aries in this.
Ares, yeah. Although some people, some people are like Ares.
Aries. Yeah, some did.
Ares. Tron Ares. This is the third in the Tron franchise. Let's start diving down the line.
43 years into this franchise. 3 movies in 43 years.
Yes. So 1982, Tron comes out. This is directed by Steven Lisberger, who, by the way, is a producer on this. He's also credited with all of this. The seed of this idea of Tron was meeting like aliens for the first time in some ways. And so what we got in the original Tron was programmers. Jeff Bridges plays Kevin Flynn. Did you know he was 32 when he made Tron?
Wow.
I was like,
He
yeah,
looks like more of a baby face than that, though. He looks in his 20s.
he looks like, yeah, right. He looks like exactly like he did in Fat City, but apparently he was like 32. I fell in love with Jeff Bridges when I saw Tron. By the way, I have a lot of nostalgia for Tron. This is why I forced you to see this movie, because Tron was like the first VHS film that we rented from, the Voice of Video off Seminary Avenue. It doesn't even exist anymore.
The voice of video, that's pretty awesome.
That's
The
what it was
name of a
called.
video
It
store.
it was called Voice of Video, and I would beg my parents to rent Tron. So in the original Tron, Kevin Flynn is an ousted executive at a company called Encom. There is a man running it named Dillinger, who has stolen his ideas for video games, one of which is called Space Paranoids. He and Alan and I forget her name, Cindy Morgan, the actress, decide to break in and look for the data for this video game so that he can sort of clear his name. And there is something called the Master Control Program, which eerily presages AI in some ways. This is 1982, and the Master Control Program is a program that like speaks. It hacks into things. He talks about going into the Pentagon, but basically the MCP zaps Flynn into the digital world of Tron, and we get to see the game grid, light cycles, things like that. It's really cute and nostalgic. It's one of the first films to utilize computer or digitized animation. So it definitely has a dated look. But then we would get the sequel Tron Legacy in 2010. So, however, 30 odd years later, Joseph Kosinski, who we all know I have a huge problem with, this is the man who did Top Gun Maverick, and then was it F1, I think?
Yep.
Yeah. So my problem with Joe Kosinski is a lot like what I have with Ryan Murphy, which is he'll take the seed of an idea, something that's been done before, and then he'll quote unquote put his own spin on it, but it's really just the same thing over again. And so Tron Legacy came out. Garrett Hedlund was in it. Jeff Bridges returned. I think Box Leitner came back. He played Tron/Alan. And that was the sort of future of going back into the digital world, finding out that there were like these AI evolutionary creatures there called AOs or whatever. So it was almost like the rebirth or the evolution of AI. Did you like any of these films anyway, Tron Legacy?
I've only ever seen any of them once.
Okay, got it.
Just to be honest, the first film wasn't a big hit for us, for my family. We didn't really like it when I was a kid. I thought the
Okay.
blinding white light with the blue just looked weird to me. It's still an eyesore today for me to even try to turn that movie on. It just looks like a fucking eyesore. I just can't watch it. And I mean, just so people know, I am not really into sci-fi. Like, I'm not into things that are just super video gamey, programmy, nerdy. I mean, Hackers is about as video gamey, nerdy as I like to get. I'm not a video gamer at all. I never really have been. And then Tron Legacy, I was way into Daft Punk at the time, so I was excited for.
Oh yeah, that score was amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, I saw it in 3D.
Okay.
It was back during the early 3D boom. It looked great, looked cool, but again, it was just empty, hollow candy that was, eye candy that I liked to see, but it didn't do anything to me emotionally, and it didn't ever like make me want to see it again. And I never like brought it to my kids to see either. So, and then when you came and said, oh, Tron's the one, and I could tell you were a huge fan. I kept trying to talk you into other things.
I know.
But in the end, I had the kids, and it was like everything else was R-rated. And I don't know how I will get to this movie unless I go late at night. And I had lots of horror movie plans for retro screening. So it's like, okay, we'll do this. We'll go see Tron. So yeah, I went into this with some trepidation, just to be honest. Like you talked me into it, and the kids. And so we'll get into my opinions more later, but this just did not.
It's not your bag. It's not your bag. So for me, as a dyed-in-the-wool Tron fan, like I call myself a user, but Tron Legacy, I think my problem with it was they just rebooted the first film and gave us more of the same stuff, just with new digitized effects, and then growing the universe and seeing where Kevin Flynn was living in this world, and then this Cora character and who she was as an evolution of AI, and then learning that like in that world they were killing all the people that were like the AOs or whatever. It just it didn't land, it didn't resonate, and it's great to look at, and that Daft Punk score is great.
Yeah.
But like when Michael Sheen shows up and ends up being like David Bowie and like all that. It's kind of a mess. It's not a great film, but I was happy to get a sequel. So
Yeah.
flash forward, here we are. We've got Tron Ares. This is directed by okay, I'm going to try to pronounce his name. So it's spelled Joachim and then Ronning. I have been told it's actually pronounced Joachim Rungning.
Really? It's not Joaquin? Okay.
It's not Joachim. Some people say Joachim. Yes, it's true. They say it, but I believe in the original Norwegian, because he's Norwegian,
Makes sense.
it is Joachim Rungning. Again, a Norwegian director. He's probably best known for one of the most expensive Norwegian films in 2012 called Kon-Tiki. This was actually the first Norwegian film to be nominated for Best Foreign Film at the Oscars and the Academy Awards. This is also co-directed by his childhood friend Espen Sandberg. So believe it or not, but by studio films in the US, it's actually kind of low budget. It's about a gentleman in 1947. This is a real person. It's based on real events. He wanted to prove a theory that South Americans settled the Polynesian islands. And so to prove this, he, not knowing how to swim or how to sail, puts together this huge raft and hires 4 other people, and they attempt to sail from Peru to Polynesia. I haven't seen it. I hear it is fantastic. Have you seen it?
Nope, I have not.
Okay. I need to jump on it, but that was not his first film. He actually directed Bandidas, starring Penelope Cruz and Salma Hayek. And that was actually written by Luc Besson and Robert Mark Kamen. I remember when that movie came out and I was kind of like, okay, this is like a Hispanic Charlie's Angels without a third.
And I was just like, boobs. Give it to me. My goodness gracious.
Bubitas. It probably should have been called. And then he would follow that up with Max Manus, Man of War. Again, another sort of true life Norwegian film. Now, he's probably best known. His career trajectory follows that of Gore Verbinski in the respect that Disney picked up the 2 of them. This is Rungning and Sandberg to direct Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. And then Rungning would later do Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, the sequel to Maleficent, for Disney. So those 2 films have made like $1.8 billion around the world. And so like Gore Verbinski, he did Pirates of the Caribbean. He also, I think, Rango maybe for Disney, but also The Lone Ranger. Now, The Lone Ranger was a bomb, but yeah, there you go. And then he also directed Young Woman and the Sea, which I haven't seen, another true-to-life historic film about a woman who attempts to swim the entire English Channel. Your experience with Joachim Rungning, I mean, clearly he can deal with special effects. He can deal with, these sort of fantasy and genre elements, right? What do you think of him as a director?
Okay, so I've only seen Bandidas, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Maleficent.
Okay.
I did see some of Marco Polo, which is a TV show that I know he directed some episodes of. So that has a cool look too. He's very much a visionary director who really knows how to make visuals pop. I don't know if he's just not given the material, because a lot of his movies look good, but just are hollow. So, I mean, Maleficent, Dead Man Tell No Tales is the worst of the, unfortunately, franchise to me. It was just kind of dead on arrival. And the sequel to Maleficent was not as good. And this isn't really his fault. He's not really writing these films, right? He's just given these because he's good with visuals. He does what he's supposed to do. They give him a CGI heavy world to build, and he does that. But the stuff that I've seen is more fantasy-like and doesn't really hit me. But visually, again, great. Just kind of dead inside.
Sure. Okay, so our writer, our credited screenplay person, because quite honestly, this sequel has been gestating since like 2011. Okay, but our writer is Jesse Weigito. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Believe it or not, he's an uncredited writer on Tron Legacy, or maybe you can believe that. He's also uncredited on a screenwriter on the following films: 8 Mile, Aragon, The Ruins, and Warcraft. All of them not entirely successful,
All of them not for me.
either as products or even at the box office. Although 8 Mile, let's just say that was kind of a success.
That's for me.
He's done a bunch of shorts, a TV movie, 2 episodes for Daredevil Born Again, which is probably where this Disney kind of thing comes in. And then our story by credit and co-writing is with a gentleman named David DeGilio. I'm gonna say that's probably how it is, or maybe it's DeHelio. But he has previously written the film Eight Below, which I love. Paul Walker
Love it.
and those
Love
ugly
it.
dogs. Yeah, makes me cry all the time. And then he created The Terminal List. I still haven't seen this because I'm kind of on Chris Pratt, I guess. But also The Terminal List Dark Wolf, which is a new series that has Taylor Kitsch. I actually kind of want to see that because I do like me some Taylor Kitsch. I don't know. Any experience with any of this stuff?
Not really, just the one.
Okay, got it. Remind me of Chris Pratt later when I do my plus. Okay, so our DP is Jeff Cronenweth. We're not going to say the NB word, but we're going to say he is Hollywood royalty. Jeff Cronenweth is the son of Jordan Cronenweth, who is one of the all-time greatest American cinematographers, if only for the fact that he was nominated for an Academy Award for Peggy Sue Got Married. This is one of several films that Jordan Cronenweth did with Francis Ford Coppola, but he was the DP for Blade Runner, which essentially it has been so influential in its like visuals that I don't think you can deny that Jordan Cronenweth changed modern cinema with that. He's also shot the films Rolling Thunder, which is a great film written by Paul Schrader. I love Rolling Thunder. Altered States, fantastic. Cutter's Way with Jeff Bridges, one of my favorite Jeff Bridges movies.
They're all just GGTMC are us. Every one of these.
Pretty much, right? Pretty much. But turning to Jeff, so that was his dad, but Jeff is probably best known for his collaborations with David Fincher. Oh, speaking of David Fincher, Jordan Cronenweth, his father, was supposed to have been the DP for Alien 3. And about 6 weeks into production, unfortunately, Cronenweth got ill. He passed away from Parkinson's, which, by the way, was misdiagnosed as multiple sclerosis. And then years later, they were like, okay, what's going on? And then he was finally diagnosed with Parkinson's. But Cronenweth has worked with David Fincher on The Social Network and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. He was nominated for that cinematography. Gone Girl, as well as Fight Club. So Fight Club was actually his first film as a DP. And again, just like his father, just setting up this language of film, which is amazing. Yeah. He's also been a DP for music videos and worked with Mark Romanek, another music video director like David Fincher, and shot the films 1 Hour Photo and Tales from the Loop for Mark Romanek, as well as the music videos The Perfect Drug for Nine Inch Nails.
Oh, such a good song.
Got Till It's Gone, Janet Jackson, and then Do Something, Macy Gray. So I love Jeff Cronenweth as a DP, especially The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I thought he shot the fuck out of that movie.
Yeah, that's great.
And even was able to test out at the time Red's iteration of their camera, the Dragon, basically was what it was. They called it the Dragon. All right, so our music is by, so this is curious. This has been listed several different ways, but our music is by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. As we know, the two of them, both musicians, both producers. I think Atticus Ross has a brother named Leopold Ross. And I think they've even performed in Nine Inch Nails. And so the reason why I'm saying this is coming out different ways is on some level, you'll see that the soundtrack is by Nine Inch Nails. And then on others, you'll see Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Obviously, Nine Inch Nails what would you define their music type as?
So they started out as an industrial metal
Okay,
group.
got it.
So the industrial metal, and then they've kind of lost the metal, I'd say, as they've gotten, and they're more just into straight industrial rock sound.
Yeah, with
They
an
were
electronic band.
with it,
Yeah.
yeah. Again, industrial is kind of like a mix of electronic music with metal, kind of like mushing the
Yeah.
two together. So yeah, they were kind of forefathers of that sound. And the reason why it says Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross as Nine Inch Nails is because they're bringing in other artists as well. And they actually, because of this, they went on a tour. They kind of all came back
Yes.
together as Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
In the making of this together, said, "Hey, this is fun making music together, and let's go on tour." And they did a first leg that was really successful of smaller arenas. Now they're going on to do a larger leg. And they're actually coming back to Utah again to a bigger venue. So really
Nice.
exciting stuff that they're kind of finding a new realm as a band again. Because for Nine Inch Nails fans, so much of their music lately has just been for film. And while this is a film soundtrack, it kind of acts as an album itself, which is a banger. So
Yeah, it's pretty good. So Nine Inch Nails, humble beginnings in the late 80s, just really got out there with Pretty Hate Machine, and then other albums like Down in It, Head Like a Hole. I know Head Like a Hole was like all over MTV. Yeah, but just I'm not going to do their history justice, but Nine Inch Nails, I think what ended up happening was that after a large measure of success, I think there was some fight with their label Interscope, so they sort of left. The band has come and gone with different people. Trent Reznor's always been there. Usually when he goes on tour, what happens is the live band changes.
yeah.
Atticus Ross has performed on there. Charlie Clouser, who now does scores for films like Saw.
That Saw theme that he's made. Dun, dun, dun. Such a
Zepp.
banger.
Yeah, Zepp. Hello Zepp is what it's called.
Mhm.
But then they've released a series of EPs. I thought an EP was supposed to be. I'm like, if you do a series of EPs, why not just do an album? But
Yeah.
I guess their thing is they've released a series of EPs. They've independently released albums. And like you hinted at, Atticus Ross performed with them at some point, but officially became a member in 2016.
Mhm.
Together, the two of them have scored wildly differing films. Like, so we all know the two of them have worked for David Fincher, The Social Network. I think they got an Oscar for that score. The Girl
Yep.
with the Dragon Tattoo, Gone Girl. But they've also done films like mid 90s for Jonah Hill, A Million Little Pieces, Patriots Day. I was like, what? So they are not just, these sort of like sci-fi films or these hard-edged films. And recently they did the Challenger soundtrack, which I fucking love.
Mhm.
And they also released a Nine Inch Nails song called Compress Repress, which I could take or leave. The chorus was like compress repress. Anyway, but that soundtrack was absolutely
But
brilliant.
the lead single from this, that "Give Me Something to Believe in,"
Yeah.
that is a goddamn certified banger. That's a bop right there. That song
It's great.
is a great song. I mean, already that alone, and this very much compared to their other stuff as Ross and Reznor, each really fits in its own individual film. This very much is Nine Inch Nails. I mean, there's no doubt that this is Nine Inch Nails.
So this is really interesting. Like I hadn't had much experience with Daft Punk when Tron Legacy came out. But I remember coming out of it and being like, God damn, that score is amazing. And it fits the movie in such a way that it almost feels like everybody worked together for this. And it became such an iconic score. I think this one has the chance to be the same. Like the visuals and the pacing of this film work so well with the score that I don't think anybody's going to ever be able to mention this film without being like the Nine Inch Nails score. And I think that's already happening.
The looks of both films, they have the look of each film and the sound. They have the hues, right? So I don't know how else to explain this, but Daft Punk and Tron feels so light blue.
Yeah.
The music, the look, the visuals of the film. This is very deep red. This is very, very different. Whereas it's from the different side, not the NCOM side. So it's very deep, dark red, and that sound that kind of thumping,
Yeah.
that industrial sound really fits that red look. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
how
mean,
else to explain it, but it sounds red.
no, I think you've got it. Red as a color, it's a signifier for like passion, violence, like
Yeah.
love, hate, all of that. And the score very much fits the film. I had peeped the score prior to seeing the film. And Brad from Not a Bomb had, who's a big Nine Inch Nails fan, was listening to the music and he was like, I don't know how I feel about this. Because it does sound very Nine Inch Nails, but man, does it ever pair very well with the
With the
film
visuals.
itself. I
Yeah.
was like, oh wow, just wow. Yeah. All right, let's get to this cast really quickly. Jared Leto, I don't know. Has he been canceled yet? What's happening? We know he's part of a rock band, 30 Seconds to Mars. He got Me Too. There has been
Yep.
some allegations of some sexual misconduct while he was on tour, et cetera, et cetera. Some people can take him or leave him as an actor. I know he started out doing, low budget stuff, et cetera, et cetera. But then I think maybe around the time of Requiem for a Dream, he sort of started going into this like more serious type role, because prior to that it was him and Alicia Silverstone in Cool and the Crazy, Urban Legend, that kind of thing. But then he worked with Terrence Malick in The Thin Red Line, Fincher in Fight Club, Girl Interrupted, American Psycho, and then Requiem for a Dream. um, Eventually he would be in films like Chapter 27, The Little Things for Steven Soderbergh, House of Gucci. But I think his role in The Suicide Squad and then Morbius maybe made people go sour on his performances. I think part of that had to do with The Suicide Squad's rumors that he was a method actor in terms of trying to
Mhm.
get into the Joker's mindset. Like he was sending dead rats to fellow actors and things like that. But then when you look at it on screen, and this might have been a by virtue of the studio intervention, it was like, you did all that shit for this performance because it was not bringing it. Okay.
Yeah.
But he cropped up in like Blade Runner 2049. What do you think about Jared Leto? Is he a good actor? Has he progressed as an actor?
He's had his moments. I mean, he did win an Oscar, right, for that film with Matthew McConaughey, which
The
was
Dallas Buyers Club, which I was going to mention, he was a drag character
yep.
stricken with HIV.
Like so there's moments when he's really good, but he's an egomaniac. I've heard he's a narcissist. I think he's obnoxious. Actually seen him live, and he like forced the entire audience around him at a festival to follow him running around and tell the security was like, you can't do this anymore. You gotta stop. You're not the king leader. He thinks he's the god of those people when he gets up there, and he's always got his makeup on and he's very theatrical, and he just eats up all the attention, and you could feel that. Yeah, and women love him and people love him, but he's got too much of an ego, and it shows through, and it has shown through in his films over the past 10 to 15 years. I think
Yeah.
prior to 2010, I think we saw some of his better work. And if you go back to, yeah. So if you go back before then, I think you really see his strong stuff. Something around 2010 when his band got really big.
Yeah.
And he started winning awards and getting more hoity-toity.
And I was going to say, obviously, his biggest role for many of us was Jordan Catalano in ABC's My So-Called Life,
Yep.
where Claire Danes was pining for him. And I think we've all been pining for him, even though he has an ego. All right, moving on. We've got Greta Lee. I think this woman is so gorgeous. Okay.
Beautiful.
I saw Past Lives, which was my first sort of experience with her. That was directed by
Selena Song.
that's it, Celine Song. I almost said Chloe Zhao. Oops. Anyway, Celine Song, but she was just so great in that, and she's gorgeous. From that film, she went on to be in like Problemista. She was a voice in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And then, of course, I think she ended up on the morning show, that series. But prior to that, and I hadn't realized this, she was on Russian Doll, the Netflix series, which I never kind of dove into. But she had been steadily working actually in these like smaller films. What do you think of Greta Lee?
I
I think
like
she's
her.
so gorgeous. I love
I
her.
think she's gorgeous. She's got a very unique look. She's also really good as a voice actress. She does a voice in Strays as well as The Tiger's Apprentice.
Oh, right.
So yeah, I think she's a really good actress, and I think that we haven't seen her hit her peak yet.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I hope not, honestly. And I want her in Tron 4. Okay, so Jeff Bridges, if I'm sorry, folks, this not to be harsh, but if you don't know who Jeff Bridges is, you probably shouldn't be watching our show or listening to our show, quite
No,
honestly.
you should be, because we'll teach you.
Yes, we'll teach you.
And you will tell them the size and circumference of his foot, how big his little toe is compared to his big toe, how hairy his chest is. You will make sure we know all of these things,
All
right?
of it, all of it. In addition to the films he's naked in, folks. Anyway, so Jeff Bridges, we could spend hours on this gentleman. I happen to love him. Wait, I'm gonna reveal something that I have never revealed before ever. So, a gent that we know from The Gentleman's Guide to Midnight Cinema, Sean, Shawnee Rockets. I love you, Sean. I remember we were talking about it was either Cutter's Way or Thunderbolt and Lightfoot with Jeff Bridges. And Sean had sort of said, man, it's like I'm straight, but like Jeff Bridges, man, he is super, super gorgeous. And I had never thought of that before. Like, is he? And then from that conversation, I have become obsessed with Jeff Bridges. I have collected almost every single one of his films. I think I'm only missing 3. So every film of his I have on either Blu-ray or DVD, including multiple iterations of releases, because one was remastered in 4K and one has a special edition or whatever.
Yeah.
But you all have Sean to thank.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
For my obsession with Jeff Bridges. I just think he's beautiful. But started as a child actor, his brother's Beau Bridges. I mean, so many iconic roles, Mr. Bridges. First of all, Kevin Flynn, Tron in the original Tron. But, the dude in The Big Lebowski. There was an FX series, The Old Man, which got canceled. That is fantastic. I could go on and on about Jeff Bridges. When I say Jeff Bridges, what role comes to mind for you?
Big Starman. That's the first thing I ever saw.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about how pretty. He's extremely attractive in that, right? The way the
naked. Yeah. No, he's so amazing in Starman. I mean, just so many iconic performances. I can't even list them all. I mean, listen, he worked with Spacey, okay, in K-Pax, and he's fantastic.
I mean, he took on a John Wayne role and made it even better. I mean, he's played a country
remake of
western
True
singer.
Grit.
I mean, the work with Coen Brothers, and the dude's just great. I mean, he is the dude. He is that guy. We all love
White
him.
Squall. Yeah.
White Squall is, all these are classics.
I love Jeff Bridges. Also, he's barefoot in this movie, folks. So yay.
Okay. He's Hollywood royalty at this point. I mean,
and he beat cancer. Listen, I think he's approaching 80 if he's not 80 already. And I adore seeing him on screen. I just adore him. Coming up next, we have Evan Peters. Listen, full disclosure, I'm just going to say this. Evan Peters does really strange, horny things to me. Like, he just does it for me. I have no idea why, but he just does. And I know this is not very PC, but I'm going to say the way that he looks in this film and acts in this film, it's like crack sexy. Anyway, Evan Peters, he's probably most known for his work with Ryan Murphy.
Your boyfriend.
Yeah, Ryan Murphy in American Horror Story. He's shown up on a bunch of iterations of that. We should mention that he was the first to play Peter Maximoff, Quicksilver, in the 20th Century Fox X-Men film. So he showed up in X-Men Apocalypse, X-Men Days of Future Past, and X-Men Dark Phoenix as Quicksilver. They even joked about this, and he cropped up on WandaVision as Quicksilver, knowing full well Aaron Taylor Johnson played Quicksilver in Age of Ultron, and then they killed him off, which is super weird. but he's actually a very, very accomplished actor, and he's done a lot of television, but he was in Kick-Ass,
Yeah.
right?
Cass's friend in that. Yep.
There's a film called American Animals, which is really, really damn good. His performance in that, so good, and almost nobody saw it. Almost nobody saw it. And then, of course, he got a lot of acclaim from Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. Again, another fucking Ryan Murphy bullshit.
He's one of Murphy's muses, and something about, I know you're not a fan, but when he works with Murphy stuff, he really is on his best game. I don't know, they have a synergy that they're just so good together.
He is, and I'm willing to bet that Evan Peters also does it for Ryan Murphy in the same
I'm sure
way.
he does.
Because I mean, he gets his ass out in every single fucking film or every single project that he's in with him. What do you think of Evan Peters? You like him?
I liked him in mostly everything except in this. We'll get into details. Man, did he fucking ham it up in this.
Oh, he's the hamster.
He hammed it up way too much for me.
Okay, I can't wait to hear. Okay, Jodie Turner-Smith, love her. She is so gorgeous. She was married to Joshua Jackson Pacey from Dawson's Creek. They recently got a divorce. I don't know what happened there, but what a gorgeous couple. I believe that she is British. She's a British actress and supermodel. Many will know her from Queen and Slim. I think that was did Lena Waithe direct that and write that? I think she did.
I think she did.
And it might be Lena Waithe. I'm not sure. James Frey also helped to write that as well. By the way, do you remember James Frey? Do you remember him?
What was he?
So he is the one who wrote A Million Little Pieces and went on Oprah, and then it turned out that he had basically fabricated
it, yeah.
the entire freaking thing. But he's actually a really good screenwriter. So folks, you know, Oprah gave him a second chance. You can give him a second chance. But yeah, Queen and Slim. But we also probably most know her from After Yang, which I know it's getting a cult following. Like a lot of people are rediscovering After Yang over and over and over again. That's with Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
She was on Sex Education, The Acolyte, The Agency, Central Intelligence, which I hear is really, really good on Paramount Plus. What do we think of after her performance in this? I was like, she should have been in The Woman King, you know? Anyway, what do you think? Do you love her?
Yeah, I think she's great. I mean, she plays Mother Anissa in The Acolyte, which is kind of like her being in The Woman King. She was pretty badass in that.
Badass in this.
Yeah, and she is badass in this. I mean, I really like her and the little things that she's popped up in. She has a funny little role in Murder Mystery 2, as well as, you know, you mentioned her in After Yang. She also is really quite good as Karen Greer in Without Remorse, which is a Tom Clancy thing with what's his name? From Sinners. Anyways,
Michael B. Jordan.
Yes, Michael B. Jordan. So and then Queen Slim, she's great in. So again, she is really good, and I think she's really only kind of came into herself the last 5 or 6 years. So we're gonna see much more of her.
Oh yeah, I believe so. And then just glancing over really quickly, this is so funny. I was talking to a young usher at the end of this film, and I was like, weren't you just happy to see Gillian Anderson? And I think he didn't realize
who you were talking about.
She was Scully in the X-Files. Like, I was like, oh my God. So if there is anything Gillian Anderson is known for, it is most certainly the X-Files. But more than that, her interviews, she tells it like it is. She curses. She's a powerful feminist. She has a nootropic like nutritional soda line called G-Spot, which I've had it. I love it. Her G-Spot is so tasty. Did I just say that? Jesus God. I think she would enjoy me saying that, by the way.
Probably would.
But she's also, in addition to being a feminist, she's also, after her role in Sex Education, she really took took on this role of being a sex positive and in particular female sex positive like spokesperson, right?
Mhm.
Just talking about like pleasure. I mean, on her Instagram, I think she puts up pictures of things that look like vaginas, and she's very much like, "Hey, this looks like a vagina. Let's celebrate it," or whatever. You know, I love her. She's also in The Crown. She's been in that series, The Fall, which is an absolutely amazing BBC series. I love Gillian Anderson. Oh, how could I forget Dr. Bedelia du Maurier in the Hannibal series? I
Yeah.
loved her in that series. What do you think about Gillian Anderson? You love her?
Yeah, big fan. Of course, it all comes down to the X-Files. And I thought that she was in a lot more stuff than she was. Like when you really pull up her IMDb, there's like 60 films or something like
Yeah.
that, including TV
She's
and
very,
voice work.
I think
Very picky about what she chooses.
I think she's picky about her projects, but also people wouldn't let her escape the trajectory of the X-Files.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what I
she's
mean?
really funny and stuff. Like, have you seen Johnny English Reborn? She's
Yes.
quite funny. And
Oh my God, she's incredible in that. And then there was an ensemble movie called Playing by Heart. It had like Ryan Phillippe, Angelina Jolie in it, and I think she has a little romantic through line with Jon Stewart. But she's really funny in that too. I love her. Okay, bringing up the rear, we've got Arturo Castro,
bringing up the rear.
I would let Arturo Castro bring up
the rear.
Okay, because first of all, and this is not a dig, everybody knows I love men with large noggins. His head is so big in 3D. It was fantastic. Anyway, what did you call Arturo Castro before we started the recording?
He's the male Aquafina in this. He pretty much just comes in and does what she does. Has the funny accent, like
the snarky, funny accent friend. Yes, exactly. I love Arturo Castro. I don't think a lot of people really know him. He's done a lot of voiceover work. You know,
Broad City is what I know him from, baby. He's so
there you go.
fucking funny in this.
Yes, Broad City. He's been on a ton of series that people will know. He also cropped up in The Menu. I was like, what is Arturo Castro doing in The Menu? He was what's his face's friend or whatever, like his assistant. He was really good in that role. But I love him. He's very funny. Does he have comedian roots? Is that his?
Yeah, I think he's a stand-up. But I just know him mainly from Broad City, and I seen him at Sundance. He was in Bushwick, a film called Bushwick by the guys who did Cooties.
Wait, is that the
It's got the big Bautista in it, and it's about the Civil War. It comes to New York.
Yes, that's an interesting film, actually. Yeah, and he had one of the leading roles in Ang Lee's Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so here we go. Spoiler-free thoughts on Tron Ares. I forced you to see this. I think we both saw it in 3D, right?
Yeah, I saw it in RPX 3D on a Friday. So it's like the big digital sound
format,
and it was that booming sound in your butt, the kick butt sound in your. So all together as a spectacle, first and foremost. If you're going to see this film in theaters, if you're going to see this film at all, see it in 3D. I'm just going to say it right now. What a visual feast for the eyes. My kids were in love. Again, I took my youngest too. They wanted to see it. I couldn't talk the teens into it, which was interesting. They're usually into anything, but they were like, no, that looks lame. And I'm like, what? Like a Disney movie about video games that come to life? Dumb. And I was like, okay.
Wow. Well, the franchise is old. I don't.
Yeah.
Since 2010, I think there was one animated series, but nobody knows Tron anymore.
No, my teens were like, "Oh, that guy from Morbius, he's the worst." But as a visual feast, this really does work. It's pretty to look at. It's gorgeous. The music just throws you into this world and pounds you. Just boom, boom. Especially in that RPX with the kick butt. It's just like vibrating my freaking butt cheeks the whole time. So it was fun to see, but man, is this thing hollow, and is it cold, and is the plot just pointless, and is every bit of dialogue just ham-fisted, forced out of everyone's mouth? And if I had to see Evan Peters screaming full fucking tilt at a computer any longer. You're not Nicholas Hoult. I'm sorry. He just was an unhinged psychopath that just seemed so campy and hammy, and him every fucking blood vein popping out of his head as he's screaming at a computer. Nothing and nobody else in the room but him. The whole movie is him screaming at a fucking computer like he's angry at it. It's almost, yeah, it's like that Nicholas Hoult bit in Superman where he's like hollering out N2 ML just like over and over again, hollering at a fucking
C10 12
desk. And there is some good stuff with him and his mom. Again, that's because of Gillian. It's not because of him. But he's awful in this. I'm sorry. I thought he was absolutely dreadful. I did not enjoy him at all. But this is just every stupid trope of like screenplay 101. Everything about it is just so tropey. It's so stereotypical. And an issue that I also had is that you don't really have any feeling of place or scope. There's moments where everything seems so like gritty and you're in it, and they're like racing down the roads. And if you watch them, they're building these things of light that are basically if you hit these things of light, you're gonna crash.
The light ribbons.
And if you're watching them riding all around, and if you look closely, you'll see every car stop just in time to not hit those ribbons, just in time. I mean, it was just everything about this movie. Everything is just in time. It just does not feel real. It does not have any heart or soul to it. I had no emotions whatsoever for these characters, for these people, for anything that was going on. I just did not enjoy this. Visually, cool, great. I mean, I got into the music, but the whole narrative of the film and the whole storyline and the whole dialogue, the screenplay is just a fucking mess. And I just found myself completely kind of bored with my kids, but I did enjoy the visuals. I'm glad I saw it. If I didn't see this in 3D, I would just be poo-pooing on the whole thing. But visually and hearing and feeling that soundtrack come to life, just kind of punching you. Like, as soon as you hear that, give me something to believe in, just like, yes, but this movie doesn't give me anything to believe in. And that's the problem, is I don't feel anything. I'm seeing all this empty eye candy, and I just have no emotional connection to anybody. Now, I know there was some fan next to me who got up and was wiping his eyes, and he was like, he was like 65 years old. And he probably saw the first one when he was in college or something. So again, maybe I'm too young for this. I don't know. I'm not a fan enough because I've only seen the first two once. So none of the like little things, like I guess there was a bunch of Easter eggs. I don't know. The little end scene was an Easter egg, but again, I know what it was referencing from the villain from the first, but I just did not like this, which I wanted to visually. There was like when it first started and that music and the red, especially when the 3D comes out and you see the version of the Disney castle with this red, like almost like scanning, but they don't really explain anything. Like all of this tech, all the 3D printing that they're doing and printing of these artificial intelligences, none of it is explained. None of it makes a lick of sense. I was expecting hard sci-fi. This is not any type of sci-fi, really. It's just hollow. I just thought hollow, pretty but hollow.
Interesting. Okay. Well, obviously, I love the fuck out of this.
You did? Okay.
I did. I mean, listen. Color me surprised that in the beginning of October, we get basically a popcorn film that should have been a summer blockbuster, honestly. I know that the film is kind of it's dark, so it doesn't have that blockbuster summer rom kind of thing, but there are some action sequences in here that were just so fun to watch and amazing. So I'll disagree. I think that they kind of explain the science. So essentially what there's two types of technology. There is the technology from the first film that a laser that zaps somebody human into the digital world, right? When this movie opens, and I have to say this is a complete detriment, we are treated to what feels like a 10-minute exposition scene, catching us up on the last 6 years, right, of what's happened with this company. And I was kind of like, what are we in for if we have to have a 6-minute, catch-up.
What an interesting way to do it too, with like those weird like 3D kind of holograms.
Yeah. So it's funny you mention hackers, right? So what this film does is it is visualizing things that people are doing. And so, like you said, Evan Peters is screaming at his computer basically, but you see the big face of him talking to the people
Yeah.
around him, right? And so and then when they are hacking something, what we then see is a bunch of soldiers storming like a castle. So just like in Hackers, rather than having them spinning around like typing stuff and like little things flying around, this is the visualization of what's happening. So I think that they did that in a way that calls back to the original, but doesn't say, hey, this is what we tried to do in the original, you know, that kind of thing. But the technology in this now is the reverse of that. There are now lasers that can take something from the digital world and create it in the human world, right?
3D print it, yeah.
Right. But the problem is, and the substance of this film is that these things can only last for 29 minutes. So what Greta Lee is trying to do, and she has taken over ENCOM, is she's trying to find permanence. And it's a code that Kevin Flynn, the Jeff Bridges character, had written but had hidden. And so they end up finding it, and then suddenly there's this big race now to figure out who's going to get the permanence code and who's going to stay permanent. So we're seeing all these fun things of going into the digital world, but then things from the digital world coming into our world. And I just bought into it. I loved it. And I thought that this film did a better way of paying off the nostalgia and the themes of the first film, but not in the heavy-handed redo way that Tron Legacy did. If we had gotten this film first as a sequel and then Tron Legacy, I don't know. I think people would have been much more excited. Like, I think this is a better sequel in terms of the themes of the original, calling back to the original, giving us Easter eggs, but also giving us something completely new, which was my biggest complaint about Tron Legacy, was that it was just the first film all over again, visually, retread narratively, with a little bit of an extension, right?
Yeah.
But this one, oh my God, so great. I'm already making plans to go back and see it again. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
I mean, I gave it a hard time about being soulless, but Greta Lee does have a heart and soul, and you do kind of feel for what she's doing. I mean, she's trying to finish her sister's legacy. So there is some trauma, there's some grief stuff there with her character, which I did kind of feel. Again, she probably is the shining light of this film.
Oh yeah. But I have to
between her and Jodie Turner-Smith, they really are what I thought kind of saves this at times from everybody else on screen.
But I
what do you think about Bridges? Did you want more of that or less, or?
We'll get to that in spoilers. But the one thing I do want to say before we move on to spoiler section is that I think that this film treats the tricky issue of AI in a, first of all, I don't think it's heavy-handed. Because we're talking about like the master control program, we're talking about Ares, things like that. But it's not a heavy-handed AI message is going to destroy the world. But
it's kind of opposite. It's more positive.
So that's what I love about this movie, is that it posits that AI has its two sides. It has, it can run amok and it can destroy things, or it can be used for good. And I think it's a hopeful message of AI, which was the whole point of the original Tron, right? What's curious about the original Tron was their analogy of the MCP and zapping up programs. It eerily presaged our sort of control over the internet. Was it going to be free? Were we going to have to pay for the internet? What about like coding and you know, Apple stuff? And so that whole thing about an open coding system versus the Apple you know, the Apple approach to things, where package it, make people pay for it versus free. That's really what the original Tron was about the free flow of information. And I love that this film has sort of taken that, but also opened it up to like AI. And it did it in a much better way than Tron Legacy did. I'm not a Joseph Kosinski fan. I'm sorry. You can say what you want about Top Gun Maverick and F1, but I don't know. He's the Ryan Murphy of cinema. Anyway, so I don't know. It's a hard watch for me. What about
Wow.
you?
It's a soft skip.
Ooh, ouch. But that 3D, man.
Unless you're really into 3D, again, if you love 3D and you want to see this visually, it's great. But there's not, for me and for people who are not a big fan of the franchise, there's not much, because everything you're talking about kind of links into the past films, which you have this passion for. Not having a passion for it, that stuff all kind of seemed like it was, again, played for member berry strictly. So I'm usually a sucker for nostalgia stuff, but the nostalgic stuff on this felt kind of just ham-fisted.
Got it.
And I wasn't the audience for it. So again, if you're the audience for this and you love 3D, you're probably going to like it. But for those that aren't like I am, it's a soft skip if you're not into the world. And my kids did enjoy it. Of course, they're 8. So if you have 8-year-olds that want to see something that's fun to like visually kind of throw them into a cool world. And they were kind of able to understand it too. They were like, yeah, he's like an AI that's real life now. And it's like, oh, wow, my kids are 8 and they understand.
Yeah,
The
totally.
plot made more sense to them than it did me. So
Well, they also were a little heavy-handed. Like somebody is like, "Oh, did Pinocchio become a real boy?"
yes.
Or Greta Lee's reading Frankenstein, and then Leto was like, "The monster said I feel powerful." I was like, "Okay, that's a bit much." Like I fucking get it, right? But that's why I thought that they couched it in a way that we know about Ares' plight and about how he's, an AI that's starting to get human feelings, I don't know. I loved it.
Yeah, the doctor is the villain, not the actual creation. I get that, and that we see that they hammer that home with Evan that he is the villain. They make sure you know that, no questions.
Oh yeah, meth sexy though. Yeah, he was.
That's what it was. Definitely felt like he was on meth. I don't know about the sexy part.
Oh, he was. Oof, Evan Peters, call me. Okay, so if you have not seen Tron Ares, we are going to spoil it faster than you can say. I don't know, Tron. I don't know. Who knows? Tron.
Spoiled.
Okay. The thing that I was going to say about Jeff Bridges is he really only has, I would call this a cameo, basically. And I think what eventually happens is Greta Lee, like Flynn in the first movie and like Garrett Hedlund in Legacy, she gets sucked into the world, the digital world, not by her own choice. And this is done by reversing the laser technology that Dillinger. So the Evan Peters character is related to the Dillinger character of the first film. He's his grandson, basically.
Yeah.
And what we come to find out is Garrett Hedlund's character has gone from Encom, and that Greta Lee and her twin sister step up to basically run the corporation. But her sister dies, and obviously Encom is this big thing. And so not only has Greta Lee created a new Space Paranoids game, which is what comes to fruition later. Can you imagine being a fan of the Space Paranoids game and then a fucking recognizer shows up and starts blowing shit up in your city? Like, I would be like, what the fuck is happening? Like, holy shit, did I smoke too much pot? But they're also working on the technology of what was in the original Tron, which was they're doing like what Dillinger is doing. They've been able to reverse engineer this, but they understand the permanence problem that at 29 minutes, the whole thing is going to like disappear, right? And we find out that Dillinger is basically selling this to the board, but he hasn't perfected the technology. And so his mother is like, you can't do this. We're going to get fucked and the company will be over if you can't deliver on this, right? Now, I will admit, there's a lot of I'm being zapped in or it's being zapped out, and it's almost ridiculous in the way that like suddenly they're in it and then they're out of it and they're in it again, right? And so where all of this comes in is in order to save Ares, they port him into the Kevin Flynn server, which has the Tron world. And so I know me and the 65-year-old were fucking coming in our popcorn
He
buckets
was too.
because what ends up happening is when they poured him back into there, they're like, listen, it's going to be all 80s graphics or whatever. And it is a straight nostalgia fan service to the fans of the original, because we see the original light cycle, the bit comes back, yes, no, yes, no.
The music. Boo-ba-doo.
And by the way, if you listen closely to the Nine Inch Nails song, they sample the bit. You'll hear yes, 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 yeah, which I love.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then Flynn shows up, and then there comes this discussion about permanence versus impermanence, which, if you know anything about Buddhism, and this is strange because Jeff Bridges' character in the first film was not very Zen-like, but in the second film he was. But the Buddhist tenet of impermanence is the fact that nothing is permanent, right? We get suffering from attachment. Oh, I'm so in love with my kid. I'm so attached to him. I can't let him grow, right?
Yep.
Or material things. That's our attachment. But everything is impermanent, meaning you could walk out and be killed by a bus. All of this money that you have could disappear in one day. And so,
and Aries mentions that, right? It should be. Yeah, he mentions that basic concept.
And he mentions the fact that, like, okay, he's an AI and he's growing and he wants permanence, but Kevin Flynn's character is saying, you want that, but it's really impermanence that you're looking for. The human condition, this feeling that, like, we go out into life and we experience stuff, but all of that could go away in a second. And we're like, humans are like the only creatures that we can understand that, but we can't put that into play because we still have all these emotions that short circuit all of that, right? And it's interesting. Maybe I'm reading way too much into a corny little sci-fi film throwback, to the original Tron. But it's kind of like when they're talking about the evolution of AI, you sort of think about the evolution of humans, right? When we started as humans, some would argue that that was a malfunction, that someplace, somewhere, the normal putting together of atoms malfunctioned and we got humans, right? And so, there's people out there who are like, eventually we will evolve out of extinction, right? Or existence, or there might be some extinction life event. AI may be the next thing. So I love that the movie played with a lot of that stuff and contextualized it with Greta Lee losing her twin, and then Ares wanting to become human and wanting to know that human experience.
But none of this is original, though. It's
no, of course
AI.
not.
It's basically Spielberg's AI from 25 years ago. It's the same movie.
Of course not.
Conceptually.
But the way that they did this with the Tron story and the technology and evolving that, it did it so much better than Legacy. Me and Jason, the young usher that I was talking about, he was arguing, he's like, no, Legacy is so much better than this. And I'm like, no way. I think
I've heard a lot of people who said that the Legacy's better. I don't know if I dare turn it back on. Who knows? Maybe
I don't think so. I think this is leagues above Tron Legacy, just in terms of referencing the original material and stuff.
Yeah.
Now they do leave it open for a sequel, because if you don't remember, at the end of Tron Legacy, basically we figured out that Olivia Wilde, her character, is the last surviving AO, and so the AOs are the evolution of the Tron programs into something more human-like. And at the end of that film, Sam Flynn and Cora escape into the real world. And I think a lot of people I know Scooter got disappointed. He was like, where the fuck is Garrett Hedlund? Where the fuck is, Cora, Olivia Wilde? And this is a completely separate story from that, but they do leave it open because Ares goes off to go be a human, and he's sitting in, I don't know where it is, Morocco, India, it looks somewhere Southeast Asian, and he has figured out where Cora is. And then the mid-credit sequence is that the crux of a lot of the film it's basically a chase picture, right? Athena is trying to get Ares and trying to get Greta Lee back to Dillinger because it's her goal. It's what she's been programmed to do, basically. And she ends up killing Dillinger's mom. And then Dillinger, in order to escape the police, beams himself into the digital world. The only problem is when he shows up in the digital world, it's all been destroyed because everybody's run amok, Athena's run amok, all of that stuff. But at the end of the film, an identity disc comes out, and when he touches it, it says, like they're whispered, says Sark. And when he touches it, he ends up getting the suit, or it looks like he has the suit that his grandfather had in the original. So I love that. I love that how they tied all of that in, but they gave us a new story. It was really good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's so there's a lot of people complaining that the movie is silly and the sci-fi doesn't make sense and the science doesn't make sense.
It's far too safe, and it is all too safe. It's all too calculated. There's never any thrills. There's never ever fear. Even again, when you see them all racing 100 miles an hour and every car softly, safely stops before. It's also safe and.
Well, let's be clear. There are a couple cars that run afoul of
a couple, but that thing should have caused me.
Of course,
it should have been. And then again, you've got this thing that just perfectly fits down the street without crashing into the buildings to the side, because again, it's Disney being safe. It all just feels so safe and so sanitized. And the plot is exactly AI, Steven Spielberg's AI, the part of it. So it's like nothing new.
But my retort to that is, for the people who are saying this is silly, none of this makes sense, and it's safe, that was the original Tron. None of that made sense. It was silly. It and it was safe. It was PG.
That was an eyesore, and it was boring. This was at least not boring or an eyesore. This looked visually really, and there was bits in the middle where I kind of got, ooh, but it does kind of keep you going, and that is because of Reznor. That soundtrack just keeps you excited, and that's really the soundtrack. The visuals kept me going into a film that I would have rather, normally I would have turned off if I watched it at home after about 30 minutes.
So we've made a lot of talk about the sort of visual sequences, and I mean, they are amazing. We've got the light cycle sequences. We've got new tech and machinery where there's like these gliders going through the air, taking on F-16 fighters. I love that sequence with the light ribbons tearing the planes apart. We've got the recognizers, and they're shooting. And you're right. The recognizer fires off what seems to be 10,000 missiles. Like, that whole city should have been decimated. Like, I don't know what happened, right? But I also wanted to mention that the fight choreography is really something to watch. The light ribbons, you've got people bouncing off the light ribbons and doing flips and twisting through the air
and sliding under them and stuff. Yeah, it was cool.
So there are two fight coordinators. There's Brian Ho, H-O, okay. But then this gentleman, his name is Alex Kishkovich. He is the additional photography fight coordinator. So I imagine that some of these added fights he was the choreographer for, but he is also the fight coordinator for Peacemaker, which I'm diving into right now, and I am loving season 1 of Peacemaker. But I just wanted to point out Alex Kiskovich, because the choreography here is really something to watch. I thought it's gonna be crappy and stupid, and it's just gonna be people throwing like light discs, but it's really good. The fight choreography is really good. So anyway, yeah, I don't think there's anything more to say other than the fact that Jodie Turner-Smith's character, I really, really loved her intensity, but it's interesting. She also starts to develop feelings. Like, I think she was in love with Ares, and she did not want to see Ares go, and she was pissed that Ares was like taking the human side. But man, her character was fucking awesome, as were her female guards that show up with their little like bow staff thing.
Yeah, that was cool.
They're great. Okay. So it's a watch for me. Everybody go see it. I don't know. And it was so nostalgic and wonderful.
I'm glad you loved it. And I got to take my kids out on a day that they had off, and they enjoyed themselves. And I didn't hate my time, right? It's not like I hated it. It just didn't connect with me. But again, that 3D was pretty freaking fun. And that Nine Inch Nails soundtrack, those might be enough to get your butt in the seat. But I'm still kind of going to give it a soft skip, but it's right on the border of a soft skip, soft watch, depending upon your views. So take it for what you like, viewers.
Hard watch. Love me some Tron. Great to see Jeff Bridges' feet. Okay, so we've got pluses. I'm
Yeah.
dying to hear your horror plus. Go for it.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Well, I'm just going to go kind of off of some of the things that I've watched and experienced. Again, doing the horror-thon. I watch at least a film every day or try to get a horror film in every day. Man, the Regal Theater is continuing to kill it with their scream on scene selections. Not all of them are the scene on scene, but they're all retro screenings that are going on. There's a ton of great retro screenings. So I saw Casper with the kids, which is a lot of fun, actually. I kind of, the nostalgia for it worked for me because I was 16 when it came out, and I remember kind of thinking it was corny, but I kind of liked the special effects of it.
Yes.
Nowadays it's very dated, but in a kind of a nostalgic 90s, the way they did those liquidy movements of things.
But I love that movie because it's essentially like a live action cartoon. You know, I keep thinking that scene where they're like, oh, none of this is gonna work. And then in the background, this thing comes through and just bam, like slams the whatever that building was or the car or whatever out of the way. And I was like, this is so cartoonish. I love it.
It is a live action cartoon, and my kids loved it live. So that was great. And then I saw the New Nightmare. I took my daughter and my 14-year-old son. So my 23-year-old daughter and my 14-year-old son.
How did your 14-year-old son love? I mean, how did he like New Nightmare?
He loved it. We all had a blast with it. It is so much fun. It is a great mix. It's almost like that gap between the Scream future horror and what was going on with 80s slasher. So it's kind of the stopgap of kind of where we were with horror at the time. And I mean, Freddy with his leather pants and his black long overcoat was so much fun to me.
I loved it. And
at the beginning, the whole like robotic claw slicing everybody up. So much fun. It works. It works.
It's like
better now.
Meta horror is, I think, what I'm getting at. I think Scream 4 does meta really, really well. But what I love is the meta scene of him in his new trench coat or whatever, killing the babysitter and dragging her across the ceiling like Tina in the first film. So good. So
where it kind of plays homage to a lot of previous kills and a lot of previous stuff with also being its own thing. So this worked big time.
And then the big taffy tongue that wraps
around that got my daughter. She was like, I could not handle the tongue part, Dad. And then they cut it, and then it becomes a snake tongue. And I was like, I know, wasn't that
it's like, oh my God, I love that movie. I'm gonna watch that movie.
That was so much fun. And then I got a chance to see Sakoshi Kon's Perfect Blue on the big screen.
Yes.
Man, talk about a movie that really was ahead of its time. And then that thing is an NC-17 graphic. Yeah, that's, some nudity. You got some pretty graphic kills. Just a really great noir, like Black Swan again. Darren Aronofsky, you watched that and you ripped it off. Quit telling people you did not take any influence. There's no way. There's no possible way. And he'd been telling the same thing for decades, that he did not ever see it and it didn't have any influence on him. Bullcrap, it did. There's no way it did. It is so good, and it's better than Black Swan. I'm gonna say it. Like that movie, Perfect Blue, wonderful. And especially with where we're at with K-pop and the pop scene in other countries, not just in Japan where this is kind of playing, but wonderful movie. If you have not seen it, there's a 4K restoration coming out. I also got the chance to see just last night, finishing off the retro screenings, was Army of Darkness. And that was a fun gentleman's guide get together, me and Brian Higgins and Sean Guerrero. We all got together, and it was just a laugh fest. And I'm usually the one that's the loudest of the crew, cackling. But Brian Higgins, man, dude, you were laughing a lot louder than I was.
Can I ask you something? Because first of all, I remember being taken to Evil Dead to Dead by Dawn. My brother and I basically lied to our mom that we were seeing like fucking Adventures in Babysitting or some dumb shit. And we got dropped off, and I remember it scared the fuck out of me, but I distinctly remember laughing and my brother laughing in Evil Dead 2 Dead by Dawn. Obviously Army of Darkness ramps that up, and it's so much more a comedy horror. But can you think back to when you first saw it in the theaters? Were you disappointed that it didn't take the Dead by Dawn route, that it was really more of a fantasy horror film comedy?
Well, I had never seen the other Evil Deads. So when I saw that,
Oh,
I just thought
okay.
my mom saw the commercial and she thought that he was attractive because of his big chin, and she
He
had
is.
a huge thing in the commercials. It makes Bridget Fonda seem like she has a bigger role. And
Yeah,
my mom was a huge Bridget Fonda fan. So everything she did, single white female, I mean, everything she did back then in the 90s, we were seeing it. My
I
mom loved the
love Bridget Fonda.
Fondas. She
Yeah.
would be the big first to tell you if it was Henry or Janet or whoever.
Whomever.
Whatever Fonda there was, she was
Yes.
in love with the Fonda. So that's why we went and saw it. And my mom ended up having a fun time with it, but she was like, "What did you think about that? That was a weird one, huh?" And I was like, "I loved it so much. I loved it as a kid, and I love it even more now. I understand the Hammer Amicus stuff. I understand like how it kind of is having fun with Holy Grail and some of
Yes.
that kind of and then the Three Stooges slapstick stuff. It is just so much fucking fun and live in the theater, and it was packed, and the three of us just laughed our butts off. So great little
Okay.
gentleman's guide.
So fun fact for me about Army of Darkness, two fun
Yeah.
facts. One, um uh I was on a gymnastic troupe in college, and we would often like screen movies on the bus while we were driving to different locations. And we all love Army of Darkness because there's people doing flips and like,
Yeah.
tripuses and like full in doubles on trampoline stunts. And so I put it on. We were leaving, it was like at 8 in the morning, and I put that as the movie to screen. And I just remember at the time that like the hag woman comes up and they end up dispatching him. The coach stood up and was like, "Who put this on? I cannot believe we are watching something like this," or whatever. And so we were banned from screening movies. But
Because of Army of Darkness, of
because
all
of
things.
Army of Darkness, yeah, and it was my choice. So they were like, "Great, Jose, thanks a lot." And then the other story is that my friend Greg Bell has his theater company called Bloody Mayhem, and we did the first ever shadow cast for Army of Darkness at the AFI in Silver
Ooh.
Spring. And so it was so much fun. We had rigged up something where like these skeletons are hanging from it, so when they're marching, it was a great shadow cast like Rocky Horror. So it was great.
Fun. Let me
Yeah,
mention
what else
two
you got?
more and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
So two new to me films that I had not seen. Dangerous Animals. Jai Courtney, great Australian director, directed it. Man, did I have fun with this thing. And we were talking about maybe reviewing it at one point when it came out, but
Yeah.
I had a blast. Jai Courtney just is so slimy and so gooey and so gross and so
And
awful.
hot.
Oh man, God, I just had a blast with this.
It's a
I
great
thought
movie.
it is so solid, and it just wrapped me up into its story and into its serial killer and into its survival. Some people are like, oh, it's not really a horror thriller. There's only like one or two down-screen deaths. But you're really tense. The entire movie builds tension.
Yes.
You do care about your leads. You do care about her and how her trauma makes her a badass. Again, I like the whole trope of a traumatic, female with trauma comes out to be a badass. I dug the shit out of that. I thought it was so much fun. It's just totally solid.
And I think that's the guy who did Loved Ones, right? So
Yep, I did Loved Ones.
he hasn't done a lot of films, but what I love about that film
3 in 16 years, and all three are great.
and all three are great. But like what I love about that film as a shark film, when you stack it up to things like Shark Night, Bait, which is another great awesome. Have you seen Bait?
Yeah,
It's an
I love
Aussie
it
thriller
with the shark. Yeah.
in the grocery store and flooding the mall or whatever. It's pretty fantastic. And I like, what, people who are like, oh, it's not really a horror movie. It is. Like this woman gets kidnapped and she has to fight her way out. But Courtney, man, he's so good in it, and
He hams it up, but in the right way. I really did like it, and that's probably his best performance in my opinion.
oh yeah, definitely. But
Awesome.
fun fact about Courtney in that film, he was really scared to do the let loose dance sequence. And so as the story goes, he's told this story before. He and the DP, they showed up on set and Courtney got drunk, and then they just shot him goofing around doing all that stuff. And so when he's doing like the the dance or whatever, I was like, oh man, that's
I
awesome.
love that.
That's awesome. That scene was great.
Yeah, that was awesome. And the last new to me one that I watched, unfortunately, is not going to be a recommendation.
Uh-oh.
Brian Bertino, director
Oh my
of
God, I almost watched this. I almost watched this. Vicious. With Dakota
thing called Vicious with Dakota Fanning. That's just awful.
Oh no.
At all. The biggest problem is Fanning herself. Unfortunately, I just have not been impressed with her as an actress, as an adult. She's not impressing me. And spending the entire film with her and her dead eyes, I didn't feel emotion for her. I didn't feel what she was going through. But I mean, basically, I mean, you've seen the trailer. The concept is a creepy woman shows up to her house. She's a depressed, sad, single lady who just kind of is at the bottom of her life anyway. So she doesn't have a whole lot of hope for herself. This old crazy lady shows up and with a box and basically says, well, you got to put in these 3 things into this box and blah, blah, blah. It ends up being kind of similar to The Box, if you remember that film, as well as the other Twilight Zone films that you've seen in the past. It would have been great as a Twilight Zone episode, 30 minutes of her, being challenged by this box. But as a 90-minute movie, it was mainly just her and like 2 other on-screen actors. It's a chamber piece that just does not have the actor.
Our word.
Yeah, it doesn't have the actor to really kind of be the linchpin for that, right? So she's not strong enough to be the foundation of the film. There are some fun little jumps here and there, and it is, there is some body mutilating that has to happen. But all in all, pretty boring. Unfortunately, I feel like Brian Bertino, after Strangers, he kind of played all of his decks. I just don't think he's proven to be a very good director, unfortunately. I think that probably was his one and done best film, and everything else I've seen that he's done doesn't work. So unfortunately, I had high hopes for this, but it didn't work for me.
Dakota was recently in Ripley on Netflix and The Perfect Couple, and I actually thought she was really, really good. I also
She was good in The Perfect Couple. She was a bitchy ass mom in that.
Yes. I also kind of enjoyed her turn in The Equalizer 3. I don't know that I would buy her as an action star. And I loved her on The Alienist. And then The Watchers, believe it or not, I actually thought she was really good in The Watchers. I like The Watchers. I didn't think it was, I know everybody shit on it, but I actually kind of dug it.
I haven't seen it. I don't know.
Okay.
I can't speak to it, but I just was not a fan of this, unfortunately.
I got to see this Vicious. I got to see it.
Yeah, these retro screenings are a lot of fun. So if you get a chance to catch them right now, Regal's doing 31 Days as well as a bunch of other stuff. I mean, we've got Paranorman is doing its 20th anniversary. We got
reissued in 3D.
Reissued, which is going to be great. That's coming up soon. We also have the Corpse Bride, which my kids are looking forward to. That's going to be reissued. That should be in 3D as well. So there's a lot of fun stuff, a lot of great reissues coming along. So get out to the theaters. Don't just see the new stuff. Get to see some of this retro stuff. It's fun.
And don't forget the 15th, one of my favorite John Carpenter films ever, Prince of Darkness.
Yeah, I'm going to that one for sure because that's one I have very few memories of. So
oh my God, I have seen Prince of Darkness probably like 80 as many times as Tron. Okay,
I've only seen it once, and that was when I was a kid, and it scared the shit out of me, and I've kind of stayed away from it. Now I'm kind of excited to see it again.
It is scary, but just like Tron Ares, nothing makes a lick of sense, but it's so fucking good. It's so fucking good. I love Prince of Darkness. That's my favorite. Where's my Prince of Darkness sequel? I want a Prince of Darkness sequel.
Yeah. So I blabbed enough. What's yours?
So for my plus, first of all, I'm going to plus 2 things. When I went to see this film, there was a trailer that came out, and I had to Google the shit because as I'm watching the trailer, I was like, this movie. All right. First of all, the film is called Mercy. I don't know if you got this trailer. It stars Chris Pratt. We've been doing a lot of talking about Chris Pratt.
Oh, yeah, this is what you were saying. Okay.
Yeah. I will try to describe this trailer, but basically it opens with Chris Pratt sitting in a metal chair. Rebecca Ferguson shows up on a screen in front of him, and basically it takes place in a future society where we have AI courts, and Chris Pratt has been charged with murdering his wife. And Rebecca Ferguson says to him, you have access to all of the surveillance cameras and all of the data the data from the entire city. You now have 90 minutes to prove your innocence using that information. Yes, I know. And so then we get all this quick cut footage of him like looking at people's profiles. There's body camera footage. Turns out there's like a bomb on a truck and that the truck is going to blow up, and then he has to like prove his innocence and save whatever. And my impression of this trailer was, this is either going to be a better version of John Woo's Paycheck, or it's going to be the next Hypnotic. Do you remember that movie Hypnotic
I
with
do.
fucking Ben Affleck directed by Robert Rodriguez? What a shitty fucking movie. That movie was so bad, and I was like, why? How did Ben Affleck and Robert Rodriguez, how did they fall this far to make this shitty movie? And so this movie Mercy, I immediately, even though the film was about to start, I had to IMDb. I'm like, who is foisting this bullshit on us?
I know.
It's
I can't believe that.
Bekmambetov.
Look at the same thing. I'm like, what the hell?
So for those of you who don't know, Timer Bekmambetov, he's a Russian filmmaker. And yes, because he's Russian, I think he is gorgeous. He is actually.
He's got a big head.
He has
The
huge,
things you like.
bald Russian, probably uncut, huge head. But he is behind the Night Watch and the Day Watch Russian films. They were adaptations of sci-fi novels, and then he did Wanted with Angelina Jolie and James McAvoy.
Abraham Lincoln.
Vampire Hunter. He also created the Screen Life films, so Missing, Unfriended, Profile. I think there's another Screen Life film coming out. I love Timer Bekmambetov, but this is giving me much pause. So everybody, please check out the trailer for Mercy with Chris Pratt, because you will shake your fucking head.
I'm looking at this. Wow. January 23rd, 2026. That tells you something when it comes out in January.
It's also being released in 3D, so I cannot fucking wait.
IMAX 3D, baby.
Yes, exactly.
IMAX.
Exactly. Okay, and then the other thing that I'm going to plus is I ended up seeing this film on streaming. It's called La Mesita del Comedor, and that is Spanish for the coffee table. I posted this on Facebook. It's a 2022 film. Somebody recommended this to me. I know exactly who it is, and I'm not going to say his name, because immediately after I watched this horror film, which, by the way, it is billed on the internet as a horror comedy. There's nothing funny about this fucking movie, okay? But it's called the Coffee Table. It's streaming on AMC Plus. I'm sure it's on Shudder. It's a Spanish film from a director named Calle Casas. I have not heard of this gentleman. Apparently, he did a film called Killing God, and which is supposed to be really good. And then in 2020, he did a segment on Asylum, Twisted Horror, and Fantasy Tales. Basically, it's like a Spanish VHS, okay? So I went into this completely fucking blind. I will read you the log line. Jesus and Maria are a couple going through a difficult time in their relationship. Nevertheless, they have just become parents. To shape their new life, they decide to buy a new coffee table, a decision that will change their existence. So I was geared up for a fucking haunted coffee table. I was like, okay, great. I love this. Lo and behold, it is not about a haunted coffee table. It's about something worse. Something terrible happens to them, and this movie, I keep using this phrase, but this movie profoundly disturbed me. When the event happens, it made me so sick to my stomach. And then what else happens after that? Like, it was talk about tension, talk about, I couldn't do it. And then it has such a downer of an ending. I was like, yo, for 90 minutes, this is 90 minutes of torture. And let's be clear, there's not a lot of gore. People don't get hacked up, but the gore that is in the film is so stomach churning. Like, this is on such a personal level, this movie is really, really, really disturbing. And it's outrageous. And I'm using that in the true definition of the term outrageous. And I really think that this is a film that you need to spoil for yourself. you need to go on the internet and you need to read about what it is, because if you go into this blind like I did, I literally was ready to text the person that recommended to me like, fuck you, don't speak to me for at least 90 fucking days. I don't want to hear another recommendation out of you. Like, it was that bad. And I don't know, you know
You
what?
used to have a famous log line in the beginning of the show. Do you remember? It might still be there.
Yes. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna do my own PSA, public service announcement. So if you have not seen the coffee table, I'm gonna give you some time right now to either skip or just turn off whatever, or you can go on YouTube and you could scroll down to the chapter and hit the chapter that says outro. I'm gonna allow you to skip. So here's my PSA. I'm gonna spoil it for people. This coffee table, they make a whole big thing about how this coffee table is unbreakable, right? The man assembles it and it's missing a screw. And he calls the place and they say, you really need the screw because it's what keeps the glass on the table. And so he and his wife have a fight. She goes out to buy groceries for the family. And now you don't see this, but he basically goes to show the baby, their newborn infant, this coffee table. And you hear it shatter. You don't see what actually happens, but you hear it shatter, and then you see what happens. The plate glass has decapitated the baby, okay? And its head has rolled under the recliner, okay? And this guy decides that he's going to hide this from his wife, okay? So that's what this movie is about. That's and when that happens, I thought I was going to throw up. And then when he doesn't tell her, I thought I was going to throw up again and just vomit all of my internal organs. And the rest of the film is him trying to hide this, and his brother comes over. Oh my God. And then at the end, when the fucking neighbor's dog goes after the decapitated head, oh my God. And everything else after that, I was just destroyed. So consider that my PSA. You may want to avoid this, but I will say this. This director, Kaye Casas, I'm watching what he does next, because he did what he wanted to do, which was make the audience go someplace they never wanted to go. And it just, what an
I will never see that. Same as I'll never see a Serbian film. And I've spoiled myself on both. So I've already knew what you told me about. And at first I heard of this film, I think they reviewed it, or maybe they talked about it on Raiders. Maybe it was Craig who did.
Oh, did they? Yeah.
I can't remember. One of them said that they did kind of like it. It felt like a Very Bad Things, but with a baby instead of a prostitute.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's certainly very, very taboo, but just this idea. I mean, we all hide things from our partners, right?
Yeah.
But this to this length, it's like, what did you think? And then when it ends that way with the double suicide, it was like, well, of course. Like, yeah, but wow, wholly upsetting.
Yeah, I won't see that. I've heard enough about it, and you didn't spoil anything, because when it comes to, I don't mind like death, like kids getting killed, but graphic baby death is really, and then baby molestation and murder and decapitation is not really my forte. So when it comes to that stuff with babies, and the same thing with dogs. Gosh, I've forgotten Candyman. I've forgotten Candyman that there's a freaking dog.
Yeah. There's some dog brutality. Yeah.
Oh my God, that caught me.
But it's like certain things are kind of taboo, and like I said, God bless the director for I can't imagine being at a festival and reading that summary and then watching this film. I probably would have run up to this director and assaulted him. Is what I probably would have done. I would be like, "What on earth are you thinking?" But yeah, I mean, kudos for going there, but like, just, I don't know, there's some stuff that you just shouldn't watch, and let this be a lesson to some people. There's some things
if you want to watch it, it is on Shudder still, I believe.
Yeah, I believe it is too. So anywho, all right, what do we have?
We got a good horror film coming up.
It's Black Phone 2, right?
Black Phone 2.
Yeah. I have to tell you, I am a little worried about this sequel, because I think that the first movie was really, really effective. And it really looks like they're quote unquote opening up the universe, which normally, you get a John Wick 2 and sometimes you get a John Wick 2. So, I mean, it can go either way. But at any rate,
Yeah. I've heard mixed things. I have friends who went and saw it at Fantastic Fest.
oh, okay.
And one of them's like, I did not have a desire to see this because the first film to me was kind of lame, but my God, did this deliver. And another person who said, I love the first film. The second film doesn't, so I didn't like it. So it depends on if you like the first film and you want more of that, you're not getting that. But if you didn't like it and you wanted more gruesome, grotesqueries, then you're going to get that.
Don't say grotesque.
Freddy Krueger in the snow. Freddy Krueger in the snow. That's what you get.
Don't say grotesquerie. That's a Ryan Murphy. We don't talk about Ryan Murphy on this show.
I like him. I know you hate him, but I do not hate him the same way you do.
Fuck him. Anyway,
this is fine. You have your prerogative. I mean, I don't love him, and I've only seen probably 7 or 8 of the 15 American Horror Stories.
Yeah. I mean, listen, and I don't know what this says about me, what kind of person I am, but I totally fuck Ryan Murphy. I just hate him. I just don't think he's a good creative. Okay.
Well, Glee was a thing. We can, he should have done Glee.
No lie. I think Glee is an example of a perfect television pilot. It's very well made, everything it was supposed to do, but then he fucked it.
First season of that show is great, but as it goes along, man, and it's so cursed. Man, a lot of his stuff is cursed. He's cursed a lot of actors.
Hello, Ryan Murphy. Anyway, so, okay. If you love us, you will certainly love our Podfathers, The Gentleman's Guide to Midnight Cinema and Not a Bomb. Also, you will love the OGs, the Night of the Living podcast. They are still going strong. Eventually, maybe we should have one of them guest. You also love the Wild Dream podcast. So the brothers, Dave and Dan, I love them so much. I love Wild Dream podcast. They kind of tapered off. They're focusing on like their Twitch stream where they play video games and I think they talk about horror movies and stuff like that. I think they're kind of focusing on that, but I love Wild Dream podcast. Please catch up with them. Death by DVD with Harry, Raiders of the Podcasts with Kevin, Craig, Tyler, and Dave, who we should get Dave on. If he rants and raves about films, we need to.
He's Dust Bunny. We talked about that with Mads.
Yeah, that's right. Perfect. In January, yeah. So it'll be Mercy and then Dust Bunny. Backlook Cinema podcast with Zoe. And now for something a little bit different, that's our YouTube brothers, the two Johns. Caliber 9 from Outer Space. Rob, I promise, we will get together and I will guest, or Mike and I will both guest at the same time. The Feminine Critique, Talk Without Rhythm with Goro. Mike, parting thoughts.
Get out to the movie theaters, continue to support live exhibition. Whether it's live music, whether it's live theater. And man, if you have these retro screenings, and just go. I'm really looking forward to a lot more coming. I think at the Regal's 26th is the Creature of the Black Lagoon in real 3D.
Ooh.
I'll be there.
Love that. Also, I would like to see somebody reboot Creature of the Black Lagoon. I would love it. And somebody please connect it to The Mummy, The Dark Universe.
Well, there was a Japanese semi-remake called Monster Island that just dropped on Shudder.
Oh.
I've heard it's kind of good, but it is kind of a remake to that.
Ooh, I need to see Monster Island. I need to see that. Also, don't forget, folks, please save physical media. I actually just dropped a bunch of cash on the director's cuts of Gettysburg and Gods and Generals because Scooter wanted to see those. But please save physical media, right? That is the best way. I know everybody loves streaming, but that is the best way to revisit a film. And if you love film or you want to be a filmmaker, or even if you just want to know, why did you decide to do this in the film? The director's commentaries, the actor's commentaries, they're treasures. They are absolute treasures.
They are.
And as always, folks, be kind, be open, be vulnerable. That is where the art is. And we will see you guys next week for the
Black Phone too.
Black Phone, call me maybe.
singing. You're always going to get singing on here, folks.
Of course. All right.